Okay, so today I'm here to oppose their claim that we should increase federal funding for manned space exploration. First thing I would like to point out, one of their main claims is about privatization, and there are 3 points for that. 1, it's less expensive, 2, it's more relevant, and 3, we won't need the government as much. However, I'd like to point out that privatization is already in progress. According to Rebecca Boyle of Popular Science, the United States Alliance, NASA has already included SpaceX and orbital sciences into their funding, so they've already begun to fund private corporations to help them with their different programs. And then about SpaceX, which is the main private company that will be doing the work for NASA. Their CEO, Mr. Musk, he has been in charge of the company since it was running in 2002. However, by increasing federal money or federal aid to SpaceX, it'll cause more harm than good, because while it might be less expensive to produce the crafts that NASA is looking for, the company still, according to Andy Pastor of Business News and Financial News, the company still needs a cash infusion of more than $1 billion in the next year or 2 to reach its goal of transporting astronauts to the ISS, the International Space Station. And that's twice the total investment by SpaceX since the company's creation. And of this money, Mr. Musk has actually tapped into his own fortune for some $1 million that the U.S. taxpayers will most likely have to pay off in the future because of this. So while it might be beneficial in the beginning, it is actually going to cost taxpayers more in the end, because the government will have to keep infusing money into their program. In addition, about SpaceX, while they currently had a success with one of their rocket launches, they've had 3 consecutive botched launches of smaller rockets, and that leads the Pentagon and foreign governments and scientific organizations to become reluctant to signing contracts with them. However, NASA has agreed to sign a contract and allow them to give them money when we aren't even really sure if SpaceX is going to be able to carry through because of their botched launches. Again, with more relevant and how it'll open new markets. What SpaceX is really looking for is, their goal is to eventually make space travel routine for average people. And this is also, again, according to Andy Pastor. However, space travel would cost individuals up to $100 million per person. And that just isn't really relevant for most people. So it won't become more relevant because not everybody will be able to travel into space, even if they want to, because they don't have the financial means to do so. And again, space travel for average people is one of their priorities. And then also with NASA, they've actually, on February 4th, 2011, they announced their new directions, and the plan consists of 4 different parts. The first part of the plan, known as the Transformative Technology Initiative, will cost $7.8 billion over the next 5 years. And this money, this is according to NASA, by the way, this money will be used for new engines, propellants, materials, and also for robots. So we don't really need the manned part, because while they said that NASA needs humans in space, it doesn't really seem like that is what is actually happening, because NASA is now putting more money into robots than into actual people in space, and that's what their new direction is taking them. And then another part of their plan is to, this is again according to NASA, is to encourage private firms to provide transport to and from the space station. So like I said, while my opponents are advocating privatization is actually already somewhat in effect, with NASA contracting SpaceX and Orbital Sciences, like I said. However, this also, it won't be less expensive because there is a current monopoly on the privatization that NASA is allowing, because SpaceX and Orbital Sciences are the only two companies that are working on them, and each company has different sectors of NASA. So the monopolization of those two companies will actually increase prices because they'll be essentially less effective in the long run because they aren't working for anybody but themselves. And then the last part of NASA's new direction is to plan for more sciences. The Earth Observation Program will receive some $2 million to improve the forecasting of climate change and monitor the planet's carbon cycle and its ice sheets. As part of this, NASA will replace the Oregon Carbon Observatory, a satellite that was lost a year ago, and which was supposedly to identify the world's sources and seeps of carbon dioxide. So instead of putting more money into manned space exploration, which is kind of a dying trend, we should put the money into something more relevant, such as global warming, which will actually affect us in the future. So for these reasons, I think that we should not increase funding for manned space exploration and keep it as is.